Hey everybody, I'm Charting Man Dan with the Chart Guys. How's that for fancy? We're going to talk about Bitcoin and stuff. So we have a little bit of relative strength in Bitcoin as the broader market, NASDAQ, started real weak this week. We've closed out Q1 2025. Let's look at some longer term time frames to start. Unfortunately, my YouTube chat is not working. I've got the monkey saying something's wrong. So I can't see what you're saying, but I appreciate your likes as always, and I'm going to just imagine it's constant compliments. So we're looking at the monthly time frame, and as we know, the monthly high or low is the most likely scenario because it's anything above 49,000. The bulls obviously want to form it as soon as possible to not retrace too significantly during this consolidation. We've already retraced about 50-55% from this high from the last leg up. Monthly EMA 12 is an important guide for me. That has been holding for well over a year at this point. If it holds, the bulls are just fine. If we lose it, we then start to create the space where bulls will have to be cautious for a monthly lower high to be the result of the next bounce. And that's what this was back here. Big enough, so whole monthly EMA 12, continuation. No follow through, but bulls still in control there. Lose it, space for the lower high. And then bears took over. Essentially a monthly head and shoulders shaped up. So bulls want to hold it there. We're off to a good start. 1 day into the quarter, 1 day into the month. Weekly perspective. So we know it's a potential weekly bear flag, and that is still on the table as a possibility. But there's a couple of good things that the bulls are liking that they are seeing. Number one, the NASDAQ, which was a very similar setup, confirmed the weekly bear flag and already dropped to this lower low. And Bitcoin didn't get close. Some of that potentially, Michael Saylor buying a couple billion, helping things out with MSTR. We'll look at MSTR in just a moment. But the key for me from here in the short term, and again, so many altcoins, Bitcoin itself, they're doing what the NASDAQ is doing, but just a different version. The weekly bounce was extremely similar. We knew weekly lower highs was the most likely scenario. And then there was a little bit of a shift in the last few days where crypto has held on better. So the next big question for me in the broader market is, do bears confirm the daily downtrend as the result of the next bounce? We are coming straight off the bounce high on the NASDAQ on this drop. So the bears do still need to confirm a daily downtrend. Same thing with Bitcoin. We're coming off of the bounce high on this daily drop. A bunch of altcoins hit the high of their weekly bounce and then have been just dropping daily stair step every day over the last 6 days or so. So again, same question here. Do bears confirm the daily downtrend and then follow through with the weekly bear flag, or can bulls defend this 81,000 support? And that's now the most important short-term support on the daily chart is 81,000. And what the NASDAQ does is going to be important. We've got all this tariff headlines coming midweek tomorrow. We have to be paying attention to it. And again, the market breaking support with no follow through right now, but daily lower highs is the most likely result of this bounce. Same thing for Bitcoin. Anything under 88.8 thousand is just a daily lower high. So we do have to keep that in mind. But again, as far as bounce retracement, another little factor that's showing us some relative strength, we've bounced 50-55% of the drop that we just saw. What's the NASDAQ's bounce of the drop that we just saw? And it's not the same. Weaker, 40% bounce retracement. So again, it's only, the last 3 days or so it's not a significant time period, but there is relative strength in Bitcoin compared to the NASDAQ over the last few days. MSTR, similar in the sense that, again, many tech names, let's just look at Amazon dropped to the lower low. Meta dropped to the lower low. Semiconductors dropped to the lower low. SMH, the entire sector did. NVDA got down to that low, technically broke it. So again, you've got all these major names breaking to lower lows, and you've got crypto and crypto-related names like MSTR not close to breaking those lows. So again, just relative strength. MSTR was showing us relative strength over the last couple of weeks. And so the best case for the bulls is the NASDAQ bear break, sees a lack of follow through, the bears don't confirm a daily downtrend and we get more bounce follow through. And that would have, essentially the statement that I say, and I use correlations all the time with my trading, but the statement that I would say is MSTR and Bitcoin are positioned very well if the NASDAQ can give us, a monthly high or low, or if the NASDAQ can establish a more significant support and put in some kind of bottom. They're positioned well for it. If the NASDAQ keeps falling and hits lower lows, then that relative strength will continue to erode and we will be weighed down with the NASDAQ. So that is definitely important from here. But another one of the bigger pictures for me on the NASDAQ is monthly EMA 12 was lost for the first time in 2 years. So that's a flashing light that tells us this is different than what we've seen in the last 2 years of action. And we do have to pay attention to that. So again, just a number of factors in terms of what I'm looking at big picture when I'm analyzing what the most likely scenario is with Bitcoin and crypto. So for now, the 4-hour uptrend is our guide on Bitcoin. We had low, high of the bounce, higher low, higher high, bunch of volatility in this one candle today. But when we lose the 4-hour uptrend, the daily lower high is likely set. And again, the big question is, do bears confirm the daily downtrend or not? That's what I care about in the NASDAQ and in Bitcoin for the rest of the week. And again, MSTR, same deal, can definitely confirm a daily downtrend from here, but still a good bit off of the 231 recent lows. MSTR can drop 20% before we get to that zone. So that's a lot of space that bulls have to work with. Dominance chart, pull it up. Is anything changing? No. Pull it down. That's it. Is the weekly high or low pattern still intact? Yes. Bitcoin still the place to be. Got it. Easy. All right. ETH tried to confirm the weekly bear flag, but essentially a double bottom. We know anything under 2104 is just a daily lower high. We know it's been relatively weak comparative to Bitcoin for quite some time. And essentially, again, same thing. Do bears confirm the daily downtrend to confirm Trump headline? Weapons exports. Just got to post that real quick because that's going to impact some names like LMT, stocks. All right, so do bears confirm the daily downtrend as a result of this bounce or not? That is the question over the rest of the week. What's today? Tuesday? Yeah, next 3 days. There are still a number of altcoins that are holding key support zones. We know XRP, $2, $1.90 to $2 is the most important range here, and it is still holding. All these holds again and again and again, 3, 4, 5, 6. So up on that level again, but a bit cautious. The red flag for XRP in the short term was confirming this daily downtrend. That bear break was all the way back at 235. And we did get 10% plus of follow through from that downtrend confirming. Higher low, higher high, higher low, lower high, lower low. We were probably talking about that last live stream. And again, it's just a daily head and shoulders shaping up a weekly lower high. When we knew the weekly lower high was the most likely scenario. So now we're back to this key support test. And bulls are going to keep playing off of it as long as it keeps working, but keep an eye out because if we do break that zone, I would expect a good number of stop losses to trigger to at least get to some short-term oversold extremes as all those orders automatically trigger if we do confirm a daily downtrend from here in Bitcoin. Another name I'm watching, Binance. I like the setup here for a weekly equilibrium. There's a lot of space. Lower high, double bottom. Lower high is now set. We had a very clear resistance wall that we rejected from. Reject, roll over. And we're looking for the most likely scenario on Binance to be a weekly higher low compared to 507. And we can keep tightening up here for another number of weeks. But we'll still have favor in the short term. They were one of the bigger bounces back mid-March. And we are still well above those recent lows. Here we would need a 20% drop to get back down to this base of support. Another couple of names, Sol is still, Sol's not showing us much in the short term. It's still a potential weekly bear flag, but this is a very important long-term support that we are battling here. 110 to 118. We've held it essentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different tests, and we're still right here. And another name I'm watching is ENS low cap, but it does keep holding its long-term support zone in the 15s. Held it, held it, held it, held it, and still testing, and holding. So the most important thing that we care about in the short term is, do bears confirm daily downtrends in the NASDAQ and S&P 500 and in Bitcoin? If you want to be tracking, I know just on a daily basis whether Bitcoin's showing relative strength to the NASDAQ or not, just because I'm staring at both all day. But you can do Bitcoin divided by NQ, and that shows us that for the most part, if you're going sideways on a comparison chart like this, then you're doing the same thing. But we can see the last 3 days, there's considerable relative strength, and the Bitcoin bulls are trying to see the most relative strength that we've seen in the last 3+ weeks. And if we were able to get over this level, then that would be the most relative strength that we've seen in 2+ months. So keeping an eye on that. Bulls obviously want that to continue to be the case. Just keep in mind that daily lower highs are the most likely scenario, and we got to watch those headlines tomorrow with Trump and tariffs and how the market's going to respond there. Let's see. So let's talk about, if you are just from Bitcoin's perspective, a patient bull is not doing anything. Well, let me see here. A patient bull is looking for a level where they can say, that's either the monthly high or low, or I'm wrong, and use it as a stop. And what I'd like to see, as I don't have any short-term swing positions right now, and I'm just patiently watching, I'd like to see a monthly inside bar for April. And then if that monthly inside bar breaks bull, then our monthly high or low is set. So I'd like to see a tight range in April to keep us close to the stop level. And then if we get that short-term, or I should say that inside bar bull break, then we can use that stop. Let's just say this, this inside bar forms now. Obviously, we're 1 day into the month. We can't say that. But if it were to happen, and then it breaks bull, the monthly high or low is set, and you would only stop out from there if we confirm a monthly downtrend, and you would stop out on that support break. So from a swing trade perspective, bulls are scouting the monthly high or low. Bears are scouting a daily lower high. And again, an invalidation point for the bears would be if 89,000 were to break. So if I'm a bear, I'd like the price to get a bit closer to resistance. I'd like the short-term timeframes to get extended. Give me 4-hour RSI overbought right into this resistance zone. That's where I'd be looking for a top fish short. A patient bear is going to be waiting for potentially a monthly lower high attempt. But that's what I'm looking at in the short term. Essentially just the recent low, trying to be a monthly high or low, and the top of that weekly bounce as an important short-term level for bears. I've talked about a number of times where, I put myself in a bear mindset. I don't short crypto very often at all. If I ever do, it's through crypto stocks. Speaking of which, those crypto miners are still very weak. MARA had dilution news. Again, it's just a slow bleed. And CLSK, a big day today, but again, just consistent slow bleed for miners. And you got Trump and HUT news. Didn't seem to matter a whole lot, but at least it's holding support. The Trump sons are doing stuff with HUT. But obviously, again, miners not the place to be until something significantly changes there, if it's going to anytime soon. But putting myself in the mindset of a bear, and I look at the Bitcoin chart, and again, I say, I'm imagining I'm in a bearish position. Do I have anything to worry about? And the answer is, if 89,000 is resistance, no. But if 89,000 breaks, then bears do need to start second guessing some things and potentially protecting themselves and covering some shorts. And you can see that, this previous support here on Bitcoin is what is acting as resistance. The low of consolidation was 89,000, and that's the high of the bounce right now. So previous support acting as resistance. Can the bulls recover it, or does it stay resistance, is what we care about. Let me see if my YouTube chat is back. If not, we'll keep it a bit. Nope, still broken. So we'll keep it a bit more of a concise video today. Relative strength. Got to keep it up. Bulls want to see the NASDAQ. We broke bear. NASDAQ had a tightening range, break bear, into hourly consolidation. Is this our daily lower high shaping up? Potentially. Got to be paying close attention tomorrow. All right. Appreciate you watching. Thanks for the likes and the shares as always. And may do an update here into the weekend just because, again, we're at a pretty critical short-term point on these daily charts. And knowing that volatility is coming tomorrow, it may be worth an update if things significantly change over the next 3 days or so. As always, do good things. Don't get fooled by any April Fool's headlines, especially in crypto. And we will see you soon.